Here on the Happy Pod, we often cover stories of resilience and perseverance, and my next guest is no different. Tania Morkel fell down a ravine when she was hiking on Table Mountain in Cape Town in 2023. She sustained serious injuries and spent 23 days in intensive care on a ventilator fighting for her life. She's now recovered and at 64 years old has just completed her mission of climbing Table Mountain 64 times in 64 days. I'm Holly Gibbs and this is the Happy Pod from the BBC World Service. And Tania joins us now. Hi, Tania.
Hi, Holly.
What an amazing story you've got. And I just wondered if you could take us back to September 2023 and tell us what happened to you.
So it was the most beautiful day. It had been raining in Cape Town. And my niece and I decided to do a challenge called the 13 Peaks, where you visit 13 peaks on Table Mountain. It could be multi-day or over a 2-day period, but we decided to do the 13 Peaks. And we were on our way to the second peak, which is on top of Table Mountain. And it had been raining a lot for 2 weeks beforehand. But that day it was just perfect. And we made our way up to the contour path on Table Mountain. And I'd remembered that 3 days before I went for a run at night with torches. And I thought, I must come back here because there's a beautiful waterfall that comes over you, over a rock, and I would love to take a photograph. So that day, we stood there, and I asked her to take a photograph. And I was standing I'm quite an experienced hiker. I've done a lot of guiding on Table Mountain. I know the mountain like the back of my hand. But I stood there, and for some reason, the earth just started giving way, probably because of all the rain over the last few weeks. And I was trying to backtrack, but the next moment, I was airborne. And I shouted to my niece, I said, "I'm falling." And that was the last. It was the strangest thing because there was absolutely no warning. I didn't have the opportunity to say to my husband, "I love you," or goodbye, absolutely no warning. And suddenly I was gone. And I tumbled down an 18-meter into a ravine, into the waterfall. But I landed with my back on a rock. So I was knocked out immediately. My niece saw what had happened. She phoned my son and she said, "Your mom just had a fall and I don't know if she's alive because she's not moving. Please come immediately." Then she phoned. She was so lucky because she had the search and rescue number on her. She phoned the search and rescue and set the whole thing in motion. Well, we were incredibly lucky on that day. There was an Austrian nurse. She's a hiker, she's a nurse, and she's a physiotherapist. She was her first day in Cape Town, her first day in Table Mountain, and she'd actually taken the wrong route. She wanted to go up Table Mountain, but had taken the wrong route, and somebody said to her, "Go along this path, on the contour path, and you will get to the right place, and then you will go up." And she came across my niece who was calling out for help. So she is such an incredible hiker, and she was able to get very fast down a very precipitous area and get to me. And she woke me up, and I just felt somebody stroking my hair. And she said, "You're a strong person. You're going to survive." And in the next half an hour, my family started arriving, and she looked up at them because they could see that I was probably going to die. And she kept saying to them, "Your mom is a strong person. She's going to survive." And that was the message that was encoded into me right from the beginning. Even when the rescue teams arrived, she said, "This woman is strong. She'll survive."
That is a harrowing story. What was going through your mind when you were being rescued?
I just remember the one thing that really stood out for me was this incredible calmness. It was quiet. They worked with so much efficiency, and they calmed the entire situation down. I just heard them working and deciding what to do, because I had to be airlifted. They had to get the helicopter to the area, and they have a whole set of ropes they had to move me out of an area so that they could airlift me. And it took quite some time, but they calmed everybody down around me, and efficiency. That was all I could tell you, is just this absolute calm that they worked with. And I felt, I can't tell you, just this calmness that came over me. I did think, I'm 64 years old at that point. So I was moving my feet so that they could see that my spinal cord's not broken. And I wanted, in case they were called out to a much younger person on the mountain, I wanted them to say, no, this woman, she really has fighter no. So we've got to keep going. Obviously, that was a silly little thing, but I wanted to survive, and I wanted to have the best chance of them saving my life. So I kept on moving it. So yes, and then it was just when they put me in one of those gurneys, and they pulled me up, and I could be airlifted. At this point, the strangest thing was, as I was airlifted, I remembered a story just a few months before, on the Happy Pod actually, of these people in Pakistan that were dangling in a cable car, and the whole rescue mission to get these kids off safely. And as I was dangling, this came up, and I remembered so clearly their voices and this incredible rescue operation. And I felt so held by that. I mean, I've been basically stitched together my whole life with uplifting stories, and my happy pod has been every Saturday. I switch on I go for my walk with my dogs, and I listen to it. And I've had so many of these stories that actually sustained me as well when I was in hospital.
Wow. Well, we are totally honoured to have played any part in your recovery. Do you hope that sharing your story might do the same to someone who might find themselves in a similar situation to you when they've just had a really bad accident?
I don't know if you know my injuries. I had a fractured skull. I had brain hemorrhage. My spine was broken in 2 places. All my vertebrae were fractured. My kidney and my spleen were lacerated. I had punctured my lung. All my left ribs were broken. My spine was pushed into scoliosis on impact. I spent 3 weeks on a ventilator in hospital. And I just needed to push through this time. And I often thought of people that had actually pushed through. This was the thing. I remember that very distinctly as well. Somebody who'd dived into a dam, and he knew he was paralyzed from the spine down. And he said to himself on the way in the ambulance, he said, I will never say why me. And I decided to make that my mantra. I will never say why me. And that sustained me. And that is the advice I give to absolutely everyone when I meet them, is you're not a victim. Never say why me. And no matter how severe your injuries are, you can get up and you can fight back.
And your list of injuries there sound absolutely horrific. How did you even begin to recover from that? The worst thing for me, they put me in a coma when I arrived because my liver was too damaged to operate immediately. So they put me on a ventilator and then into a coma. And it was extremely hard to sometimes come out of a coma and not know where I was. I did not know even who I was. I was trying to figure out. My hands were tied because I'd obviously tried to pull the ventilator pipes out. But it was also excruciating being on a ventilator because they had to suction me often, and the struggle for oxygen. And I just remember one day feeling like this is not worth it.
And a nurse came in and he said to me, Tania, look me in the eye. The oxygen, look at the oxygen there. You've got enough oxygen. You look me in the eye and you just believe that you can do this. So I had to often trust in the people around me. It's an absolute world-class facility, and I was so lucky to be there. And I remember my trauma surgeon one day came to me, he said, you're going to climb the mountain again. I was like, I can't believe that I will, but if you think so, I would absolutely, love to do that. And then he said to the nurses, because my bed was turned towards the ward and not towards the window, and they had put it like that so that I wouldn't be traumatized by seeing the mountain. And he said to them, turn a bed around so that you can see the mountain, so that you could dream again. And that day, it just turned for me. And I knew I would one day go back to my beloved mountain that I've just loved since the day I arrived in Cape Town. And it was a big switch in my mind that happened.
And now you have climbed Table Mountain 64 times in 64 days. How was that?
Oh, my goodness. Yes. So when I got to my second hospital, the rehabilitation hospital, I got these incredible physios. And my spinal surgeon said, let's get, because he's a runner as well. He said, let's get her back on the road again. And he said, work out a program for her. So by 12 weeks, we can start walking with her. So I had to learn to actually really walk again. I never knew that I would stand even again. So they said, of course, we're going to do this. And the two of my physios, they were incredible. They started working out a program. And I did about probably an hour and a half of rehabilitation every day. Once I've left the hospital, everything they told me, I did exactly like they said. And so I started working, and I made sure that I was strong enough. And halfway through, I was probably 2-3 months into this, I said to them, I have the dream to do the mountain 64 times to actually give back to the people who saved my life. And they, I thought they were going to say, no, this is impossible. You now 65 years old, this is not going to work. And they said, of course. And if you want us to, we'll come up the mountain with you. We're going to train you for this. And that's how it started. So I trained for a year and a half. And I also had to wait until I knew I was completely pain-free. I have absolutely no pain. My back is perfect. It's just a miracle what's happened to me. And anyway, then we started. And I did a very silent start because I didn't know if it's possible. And I started climbing. It's an elevation of about 750 meters every day that you have to do. And it's up an area called Platteklip Gorge, which is quite a grueling ascent. And but it can take you up fast, and then I can come down by the cable car. And the cable car every day would say, oh, what is it, number 3 or number 23? And they knew in the end, as soon as our gate come in, they would say, yay, 35 now. And so all these people that I met, the guides on Table Mountain, the search and rescue people even joined me on a number of them. And even when the weather would be terrible, they would join me. Table Mountain is lying on a peninsula with weather running in from thousands, weather events running in from thousands of miles. And when it hits the mountain, quite terrible things can happen. And we've got huge storms and gale force winds. And I often had those where I had to hold onto the rocks and slowly come down because the cableway is not open on the rainy days and gale force winds. And I had to slowly make my way down. And people used to come with me to make sure that I would be safe. A lot of people were worried that I wouldn't make it or injure myself again. I was so worried about being falling ill. I was so worried about being injured again. But I just pushed through. And I cannot tell you how incredible it is to be supported by the people of Cape Town. And and by all the tourists that came up that heard about my story. As I went up, they would say, "You're the 64 by 64 lady. How incredible. When can we join you?" And it was just a sensational thing to actually be part of it. I sometimes would lie at night and think, this is me. The people, because the news then started picking up. And I thought, this person that they're talking about is actually me. And I couldn't believe that I am now inspiring other people, that I'm the person who makes other people happy. And yes, for me to be on this, on the Happy Pod, I cannot tell you how incredible, because you've been my inspiration. And so now I can inspire other people. I am so grateful for this. Yes.
I know you've touched on this briefly, Tania, but if there's anybody out there who's listening or watching this right now who is in a situation of recovery that you were in, what is your message directly to them?
The thing that's extremely important to me is to understand that you are so much stronger than you think you are. And I've really had to delve into myself and to find the deep strength. I always used to say, when my kids grew up, I said, always hitch your wagon to something bigger than yourself. And I had to really do it this time. And I think that we don't understand the strength we have in ourselves. Right now, in the beginning, when I did it, did the walk up, I used to take an hour, which is quite a good time. Last week, I did a time of 46 minutes, which is a lot of very young people can't even do that. And I've realized that, even after doing it every single day, I can get stronger and stronger and stronger. And I didn't even know that it's possible that a 65-year-old woman can go and do a time like that up there. So I've had to just actually dig deep and find the strength and do it. The other thing is, never say, why me? You're not a victim. You have to surround yourself with positive people, and this is the most important thing, and basically get a crew of people around you and never give up.
Tania, this is so inspiring. How is your life different now? Has your outlook on life changed?
It's almost like a sea color, more enhanced. It's as if the sky is bluer for me than it ever was. The color of everything around me is enhanced. I feel so incredibly lucky to be alive. I must say, from the first moment when I got a grip on my life and I realized that I was going to survive, that was another thing. I got to a point where I felt I don't want to just survive. I want to thrive. And when I got that idea going, something just happened, and it's turned me from a half empty cup person into a half full cup. And I have an incredible appreciation of life.
Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. It's so inspirational and so powerful.
Thank you so much, Holly. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thanks for watching this video. If you'd like to hear more stories like this one, just search for The Happy Pod wherever you get your podcasts from.